Welcome to the Mediator pattern, one of the gang of 4 behavioral patterns. By the end of this video, you will understand the problem it solves, the roles it defines, how to write one in TypeScript, and just as importantly, when to put it down and reach for something simpler. Imagine a chat application, a user list, a message box, a status bar, and a typing indicator. At first you wire them directly. The message box tells the status bar to clear. The user list tells the message box to reset. But as the UI grows, every component accumulates references to every other component. Adding one new component means updating all the others. That many-to-many web of dependencies is the exact pain the Mediator pattern is designed to cure. Think of an airport control tower. Pilots never broadcast directly to other pilots to negotiate runway access. They each radio the tower, and the tower makes all the coordination decisions. The planes stay simple. They just report their state and follow instructions. That is precisely the relationship the Mediator pattern establishes between objects in your code. The Mediator pattern defines two kinds of participants. First, a mediator interface that declares a method colleagues can call to communicate. Think of it as the radio frequency. Second, colleague classes, which are the components that need to interact. Each colleague holds only a single reference to the mediator. The concrete mediator implements the actual coordination logic, deciding who gets notified and what happens next. The result is that every many-to-many connection collapses into a simple many-to-one spoken hub. Let us walk through this top to bottom. The mediator interface declares one method, notify, which accepts a sender and an event, in our case, a chat message string. The abstract colleague class holds a protected reference to a mediator, that is the only cross-cutting reference any colleague ever needs. Chat user extends colleague and adds two methods, send, which logs the outgoing message and then delegates to the mediator by calling notify, and receive, which simply logs an incoming message. Chatroom is the concrete mediator. It keeps a private array of registered users, and in its notify method, it filters out the sender and forwards the message to every other user by calling their receive method. Down in the wire-up section, we create the room first, then create 3 users passing the room as their mediator, register them, and finally Alice calls send. Alice never knows Bob or Carol exist. She only knows the mediator, and the mediator does all the routing. At runtime, the flow is straightforward. A colleague does something meaningful and calls notify on the mediator. The mediator holds all the logic about what that event means for the rest of the system and dispatches accordingly. This makes colleagues genuinely independent. You can add a new chat user without touching any existing user class. The serious trade-off, though, is that every coordination rule now lives inside one class. As the system grows, the concrete mediator can absorb so much logic, it becomes a god object. The very kind of tangled, hard-to-test class the pattern was meant to prevent elsewhere. Reach for the mediator when you have a cluster of objects so tangled that changing or reusing any one of them drags the others along for the ride. It shines in complex UI coordination. Think form wizards or chat rooms. Skip it when the interaction is simple and stable. 3 classes talking directly is far easier to read than an indirection layer nobody asked for. Also watch out if your mediator keeps growing. That is the god object warning sign. And at that point, splitting it into smaller mediators or switching to an event bus is usually the right call. To wrap up, the mediator pattern solves the problem of objects that have grown too entangled to change independently. By introducing a single coordinator, each colleague only needs to know one thing, the mediator, which dramatically reduces coupling. That said, every rule of coordination you add goes into one class, so keep an eye on it. When a mediator starts looking like it knows everything about everything, it is time to refactor.